Hello everyone, you are all welcome to It's All About Love with Anna. For those who don't know me, my name is Hannah. I hope you are all well, doing well today. So today you are going to be talking again, to continue talking about Mother Teresa. So today we are going to be talking about her in this nine episodes today. So for those who didn't watch these programs, who didn't listen to this program, I would advise you to go back and watch them, because if you are really interested in Mother Teresa, her legacy, it will be wonderful to go back and to know her birth, about her childhood, teenagehood years, going to India and doing so beautifully through the years in India. And so up until the 8th episode, it was the last episode, we are talking up until 1950s, end of 1950s, beginning of 1960s. So she did wonderfully, and like I said before, we speak about Mother Teresa because for many, Mother Teresa is an inspiration. I include myself in that because Mother Teresa is an inspiration for me, and I love talking about her. So I hope you are going to enjoy something more about Mother Teresa. And that to me is an example for all of us. Doesn't mean that you are going to follow the same steps because you are all different, but you can think and can do small things that she did. Okay? That's important. That's wonderful. So, when Mother Teresa, at the end of 1950s, Mother Teresa and the girls, or the novices, as they walked spread, Mother Teresa would say in her own words, and I'm going to read for you, she'll say, "It is the presence of Christ which guides us. We don't make plans. Everything is made according to the necessities of the poor. It is the divine providence who guides us." So for some of you who've been watching these previous programs, you heard me talking about her, talking about divine providence, because Mother Teresa always trusted on divine providence. If she didn't have something she needed, she knew that God was going to use someone to give to her and to give to the congregation, or to the novice, or to anyone she needed help. And so I gave you already many examples of those, and those beautiful examples that God provided for her, for them. And so for nearly 10 years, the Congregation of Missionaries of Charity, its work was confined to the diocese of Calcutta. The news of their work was spreading, and by 1959, it was the end of the 1950s, like I said, the sisters were eager to extend the work throughout India. So up until then, Mother Teresa, her work and the girls were more confined in Calcutta. But by the end of 50s, they decided to go outdoors. I mean, forward around India. They began to travel as bishops needed them. They needed their service, invited them to open houses in different places in India, in other locations such Ranchi, Delhi and Bombay, where they opened children's homes and homes for the dying. This is what Mother Teresa was doing. She opened children's homes in Calcutta. She opened specifically a big one for children's home, and for people who were dying, she opened a huge one next to the temple, Kali Hindu temple. Remember, for those who watched before those programs, you know that. Of course, she opened other houses, smaller houses, but the main ones were located near her, around her residence in Calcutta. but because their work was getting well known, many bishops, many people around India appreciated and loved what they were doing, and they began to invite Mother Teresa and the novices and nuns to go and open places outside India in other locations, like the ones I gave you just now, the names, Ranchi, Mumbai, etc., etc. And so it was incredible, and they began by leaving Calcutta. Of course, their residence was there, but they would travel to those places just to open those houses and to give encouragement to those people, and as well to leave people, responsible people there to guide and to manage the children, the homes that they were creating. That's so incredible. In the beginning of the 1960s, many British helpers, because up until then, Mother Teresa had lots of British helpers like Anne Blakey. But Anne Blakey, in 1960, she moved to England and continued the work of missionaries of charity in England. In England, volunteers under Blakey's direction gathered physical and material aid or help to help not just the poor in India, but also where the poor were found in England and other parts of the world. So because, poor doesn't exist just in the poor countries, they exist all around the world in rich countries too. And so the service Mother Teresa was helping people around the world, and through people like Anne Blake as well. People were interested in helping others in need. In that same year, in 1960, Mother Teresa made her first international journey. It was her first separation from her sisters, from her novices, her students in India. She went to the United States, she went to Rome, she went to Germany and England. Well, beautiful. And all on behalf of the poor. Because anything that Mother Teresa you do, it was all on behalf of the poor. Her mind, her focus was always on the poor. She really had love and true love for the poor, and not just the poor physically, but the poor people in need, not just need of physical things like food or water or home, but people unloved, people were abandoned, people emotional or spiritually sick, people in need in various ways. Always our mind was focused on them, but above all, of course, on God, because God was giving her all that strength that she had to go around and help those people. So it was God was giving her strength. He asked her to do it, and He was with her, and she knew this. That's beautiful. So she went to certain parts of the world, and on behalf always of the poor. And she told the sisters, because it was the first time she was leaving them, and she said to them, and I'm going to read to you what she said in her own words. I'm here for far inland distance. I'm here far inland distance. But my heart is with each one of you. Is with each one of you. Love one another. Be kind to one another. So wonderful words. Beautiful words. And mine was always full of love. Always full of kindness. Always thinking about the other. Her heart, although she was physically away, her heart and the spirit and the soul was with them in India. Beautiful. That's beautiful. So, after after that, due to her gradual frequent traveling, she began to give authority and responsibilities to others, to her novices, to her students, to her sisters and nuns. The superiors were to follow her steps. Everyone were to follow her steps, managing their homes, visiting and helping people in the slums and streets or wherever they were needed. Everything they had to follow the same steps of Mother Teresa, always responsive and loving to anyone in the homes and in the streets and the slums. They had to follow Mother Teresa's steps. Wonderful, beautiful. Because Mother Teresa was having so much success that she didn't have doubts that what she was doing was the way to go. And so people would have to follow her steps. Because if she had created that assembly on congregation, huge one, so popular, and if someone came and was doing completely different, everything was going down. Everything was going to be unsuccessful and confusion was going to rise. But everything has to be clear under her, and it was the best way to go. So by then, the beginning in 1960s, when she began to travel around the world, a recognition of love and work was spreading not just in the church, but also internationally, because she was already beginning by traveling internationally. And so international aid from many sources, including from Pope VI, for example, was increasing. Many admired Mother Teresa and wanted to honor her with awards and privileges, however she felt unworthy to receive anything. Everyone wanted to reward her with honors and words, but she felt unworthy for receiving anything. Although she initially was reluctant to receive them, she then decided to accept it. That's the reality, what happened. In the name, but she did this because she was doing it in the name of the poor and the sisters. But for her, she didn't want anything. Initially, she didn't want anything. But then she thought much better, and she thought that she had to do to help the poor and the sisters. Wonderful. Otherwise, she shouldn't succeed, she shouldn't help anyone, because she needed help, and she recognized it, she knew that. The word's money was to help the poor around the world, and to feed them, to buy houses for the poor. All the words that she received in money were to help, feed the poor, to buy homes for them, to help children, the sick, medication. People were dying, build leper colonies like she was doing in India. The money that she would receive was always to give to these poor people in need. And of course, although we are not talking about giving to the poor and people in need around the world, she was giving as well. Gradually, so she began by distributing money to other countries apart from India. The honors and titles from many funds, such as universities and colleges, because she received many, were accepted because many people would not hear the message of the rejected, and more specifically, they could hear about Jesus Christ and the good news message. Because everywhere she would go, although she would speak about the poor, because she was there to help the poor, she was there to receive the words and honors and money because of the poor. But everywhere she was going, she always made sure to speak about Jesus, always about Jesus, and to spread the good news, always. So Mother Teresa never prepared a speech, never. She never prepared a speech. You may be wondering, well, if she began by talking about the poor, she prepared the speech. No, she didn't. She never prepared the speech, Mother Teresa. So before each speech, she would go into the chapel and stay there for a few minutes, maximum 10 minutes. And then she knew precisely what to do and say. And well, because she had this strong connection with Jesus, with the Holy Spirit, with God, for her it was enough just a few minutes to meditate and concentrate in what she was going to say. And of course, for those who believe in God or the Holy Spirit, you know that sometimes God and the Holy Spirit guides us in our words with satellites and ideas, and she knew exactly what to say. She would make the sign of the cross first in every speech, and starts by speaking about poverty, always. The need for God, and the love for Him and the neighbor, always. Always speaking about love. A speech was always simple, always simple, because as you know, Mother Teresa was very, very extremely simple. And although, of course, a speech was simple, always simple, but as well from her heart. That's why it was so simple. Everything she was saying, every word she was saying, were coming from her own heart, from her heart, without pretense, It was original, it was truthful, always so touching. But sometimes, ungrammatical and repetition, sometimes a speech was a little bit ungrammatical and some repetitions too. But probably she wanted to repeat more for people to listen and to think more. Because sometimes people like to repeat a little bit more, not just because they are repeating without realizing it, it's because they want to repeat precisely for people to think about the importance of what they are saying. This is the meaning. And probably she was doing this because of that, we don't know. But in 1962, Mother Teresa received two awards, the Padma Shri Medal. It was India's second highest award from the President of India. So see how so well known Mother Teresa was. The President of India gave Mother Teresa the second highest award. A simple man, but a strong man. So the President of India was Dr. Rajendra Prasad. Apologies if I'm not saying correctly the name of the President. I know that maybe some of you in India know perfectly how to say that, but because I'm not Indian, I don't say properly exactly the word how it is, but you understand what I want to say. Maybe you know the name perfectly. So, and the Maxwell's Way Award for International Understanding, because she had wonderful understanding, and she used the money from this to buy a children's home in Agra. See, every money she received should buy children homes, should find homes to make homes for children, for people, dying people, for lepers, for people in need. And she really needed this money, really needed. So that's beautiful, that's incredible. And sometimes some of you may say, well, I know other people that did the same as Mother Teresa and they were not so well known. Well, probably. But the reality is Mother Teresa became so popular, so well known, more than many people we don't know. And that's why we are here to talk about her. Because she left us a wonderful legacy. A beautiful legacy for us to follow certain steps and to see them as an example for us, well, to strengthen ourselves and to have more hope and faith and do something more and act something more. And our heart in that way will become better, and our minds too. Because as we see her walking and acting, our love is also improving and strengthening our love for others, to wanting to do more for others, to give more from ourselves to others. And that's the real happiness in life. Giving what you have. Because I don't have doubts that if you don't give, you don't love like you could love. It's impossible. It's impossible. If you don't give, you don't love. You have to love. You have to give to love. That's the reality. And Mother Teresa was giving all of her to others. And that's why her love was increasing in such a way. Beautiful way. Of course, you may say, well, God was helping her. Of course he was helping her. I don't have doubts about it, because for those who've been listening and watching the previous episodes, and for those who know Mother Teresa, you know that God was behind everything Mother Teresa was doing. But because she looked for him, she was focused on him, and that's why he was helping. That's why he can help us if you focus on him like she did. Not in the same way, but in different ways. You have to have that desire as well to be connected with him. So, throughout Mother Teresa's life, she always applied an extremely important principle to all she did. All she did. She used to say these words: you can do what I can't do. I can do what you can't do. See? Because you all depend on each other. We don't live in this world on our own. We all need each other. Someone to help us. Someone to be with us. Someone to guide us. That's the reality. She used to say, together we can do something beautiful for God. If I do things that you don't do, and you do things that I don't do, then we can help together and do beautiful things for God. Because our focus, like I said, it was always on God. That's beautiful. So with this in mind, by the beginning in 1960s, Mother Teresa created the Brothers Congregation to help the sisters with the things that they could not do. Of course, there are things that sisters, the women, is difficult for them to do. And she would need men to do certain things to help the poor. Of course, there are things that the sister they would not be approach men if they needed help. They wouldn't be comfortable. But that's why Mother Teresa would need men to approach men. And so she created the Brothers Congregation that begins in 1960s to help the sisters with things that she couldn't do. So Mother Teresa spoke to Father Celeste. Father Celeste, for those who've been listening to the previous episodes, you know that Father Celeste from an early age was a spiritual father. He didn't want to be initially a spiritual father because Father Celeste went to Calcutta, to India, to help the Muslims. But Mother Teresa met Father Celeste, and she really liked him, appreciated him as a father, spiritual father. And so she asked him if he could be a spiritual father. Of course, she had to ask authorization from the Bishop of Calcutta. And initially she thought, well, I didn't come here to be with nuns, I did come here to help the Muslims. I don't want to do this. But the Archbishop of Calcutta told him to go forward to be her spiritual father. to go forward with their request, to accept it. And because of that, he accepted. And he became Mother Teresa's spiritual father, well, till the end of his life. And he lived, well, he died before Mother Teresa, but not long before. But he was a very good help for Mother Teresa throughout her life. So she spoke to Father Celeste about the idea of creating a men's or brothers congregation or foundation. So this new foundation was approved by the Archbishop Vivian, and who had succeeded Perrier. Perrier was the Archbishop at Calcutta for many years. He really helped Mother Teresa as well. But initially, this Archbishop Perrier didn't want to support Mother Teresa with plans to go ahead to help the poor of the poor on her own. Initially, he didn't want to support her. But gradually, he began by understanding that God was behind Mother Teresa project. And then he decided to accept her plan. But then from then on, he was supportive of her all the time. But he had to retire at a certain stage of his life, and Archbishop Vivian replaced him in Calcutta. And so, but Father Celeste asked his approval, the Archbishop Vivian. And so, for the congregation of brothers, the brothers would have to have the same spirit of the sisters and would have to work in conjunction with them by doing some types of work that were more suitable for the brothers. That's why than the sisters. For instance, they supported the sisters with their physical strength, such as carrying and lifting, and in the home for dying, they look after the men while the sisters cared for women. That makes sense. What do you think? What do you think? That makes incredible sense. Is the right sense. So in 1963, Mother Teresa formed the Brothers into Society. So that was not created quickly, like everything. It would take time sometimes to create foundations, and so unlike nowadays, if you want some companies to create companies and foundations, we can't create them quickly. We know that we have to proceed with certain steps, to go through certain steps. And so Mother Teresa, in 1963, Mother Teresa formed the Brothers into Society. They were under the direction of the sisters, spiritually instructed by Father Henry, and wearing white shirts and trousers. So Father Henry, for those who've been listening to these episodes, previous episodes, Father Henry was a powerful strength to Mother Teresa. He always, from the beginning, supported Mother Teresa with her plans, with everything. And now, Father Henry was there to continue supporting her, in this case, the congregation of brothers. So they would have to follow the sisters, and they would have also as well to wear white shirts and trousers, the brothers, always. So, however, they still needed an authorization from Rome, the Vatican, and the Roman Catholic Church did not permit a woman to head a men's congregation. So, those rules that the Vatican was imposing over the Mother Teresa Association and the sisters. Throughout the years, Mother Teresa's health was fluctuating because Mother Teresa was so hard worker, always from one side to another, from one place to another, always working, always thinking. She didn't need to sleep much, and she didn't sleep much anyway, because, well, she would be the last to go to bed and the first to wake up. And so I believe that probably she'd sleep 2, 3, 4 hours maximum, and she was okay. But she needed to rest because she was so hard a worker. And so in 1964, she was involved in a car accident in Darjeeling, Mother Teresa. She smashed her head into a metal fixture and she was badly cut. See, try to imagine a head, an accident could be difficult, that thing. You know this. For a while she suffered from malaria. She suffered from malaria, Mother Teresa. And sometimes she fell ill from exhaustion. She used to feel ill from exhaustion. If you go back many years before she sensed God she sensed God with a second call, she went to Darjeeling to rest. And because she was exhausted, she was feeling tired and sick. She was doing too much. And now, beginning in the 60s, she was in the same position. She was exhausted. She had malaria. And so she was suffering because of that. But nevertheless, she never spoke about how she felt. Instead, she replaced it with joy. She was always joyful. And people around her, for them, it was kind of difficult to believe that she was sick, because she was always happy and joyful. It was contagious. Very extremely contagious. And she preferred not to speak about it. She didn't want to bring negative words to others. She didn't want others to worry about her. That was the reality. To think about her. Because she was there to give life to others. To give love, life. And she couldn't afford to make other people worried or suffering because of her. Because she wanted to give more than receive. And so we are ending this episode, the 9th episode here, and I hope you took something from here today, even if it was just a word. Even for those who know about Mother Teresa, I hope you took something new today and you enjoyed it. And so I enjoyed it myself. And I can't wait to talk to you about Mother Teresa again in the 10th episode. And for now, thank you for everything, for listening to us. And good day. Have a good day or night wherever you are.